Hello MotoGP fans. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. KTM test rider Dani Pedrosa has given an early read on MotoGP's big regulatory reset for 2027. New 850 cubic centimeters engines, stripped back aero, the ban on ride height devices and a tyre supplier switch to Pirelli. Pedrosa, who has already sampled the prototype 850 in Pirelli rubber, believes the changes will shift power from electronics and devices back to the ride. After 3 months off the MotoGP bike following his Indonesian GP injury, Marc Márquez is ready to climb back into action. Ducati footage and team posts show the champion already riding lighter machinery, and a targeted 2-day track session in Valencia will set him up for the first official preseason test in Malaysia. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Pedrosa frames 2027 as a corrective moment for MotoGP. After an era where aero and ride height devices increasingly dictated corner behavior and starts, the rule changes aim to restore rider agency. He argues that when devices and software do less of the work, riders must make more choices and exert more control, especially at the opening laps where positions are won and lost. That's not nostalgia for harder riding. It's a structural shift that should create more opportunities for overtaking and reduce the current sameness of race starts. The new rules will give more control back to the riders and make the starts less predictable. If starts become more volatile, we could see more early race drama and a wider mix of race leaders, a direct boost to spectacle and strategic variety. Perhaps the single most disruptive change is the tyre supplier swap from Michelin to Pirelli. Pedrosa refused to disclose technical details, but his message was stark: tyre character drives everything. Chassis choices, braking, corner entry speed and throttle management. A new tyre that behaves differently will force teams to rethink hardware balance, and riders to adjust their braking points and throttle maps. That uncertainty can be destabilizing at first, but it's also the kind of reset that rewards adaptable teams and brave riders willing to adjust quickly. It's something very radical to change tyre supplier. Historically, tyre switches have produced seasons of surprises, more winners and more shifting pecking orders, and Pedrosa expects 2027 could produce something similar. Pedrosa isn't theorizing from the sofa. He's tested KTM's 850 cubic centimeters prototype and sampled Pirelli's rubber. From that practical vantage point, he emphasized how much a tyre change can alter chassis setup and riding style. The prototype 850s will feel different in engine character and weight distribution, and when combined with a different tyre envelope, the collective effect could be profound. Teams will need to rebalance trade-offs between stability and agility, a process that favors test programs and clear communication between riders and engineers. The impact will depend on how different they are, because a tyre change can deeply affect chassis, riding style, braking and throttle management. In short, the rules are not just a packaging change. They change the grammar of the bike, how it asks to be ridden, and that will reorder early season contenders. Pedrosa invoked the 2016 transition, when Michelin replaced Bridgestone, as a reminder of what can happen when suppliers and technical rules change. That year, variety increased dramatically, 9 different winners and 4 manufacturers on the top step. The lesson is clear. Resets level some advantages and reward adaptability, depth of testing and the courage to try different solutions. Pedrosa expects a similar effect in 2027 if the tyres and the 850 architecture differ significantly from the current formula. We've seen lap times improve, but teams have had to modify the chassis and riders had to adapt. That precedent underlines the likely churn ahead. Champions will be those who adapt fastest, riders who can translate new sensations into consistent lap times and teams that can iterate quickly. Dani Pedrosa's verdict is optimistic for racing fans. 2027 could restore a more rider-centric MotoGP where starts are exciting again, overtaking increases, and the grid reshuffles in unpredictable ways. But the change comes with risk. A radical tire switch and new engines mean a big learning curve for manufacturers and riders alike. If history repeats, the result will be a season full of variety, new winners, and a renewed premium on adaptability. As teams ramp their winter testing, the paddock will be watching closely to see which programs are best prepared for the return of rider control. Márquez didn't wait for the tests to start. He took the first step back on a Ducati 450MX supplied by the team he won a title with in 2015. Short, controlled outings on off-road machinery are a common way for riders to rebuild confidence and check basic mobility before returning to road bikes. That pragmatic approach is exactly what the medical and performance teams want: progressive reintroduction to speed and lean angles while monitoring the injured shoulder under lower loads. Marc Márquez will return to action on the track this January. That simple line signals the end of enforced rest and the start of a carefully staged comeback. The central on-track dates are January 8th and 9th in Valencia, where Márquez will ride a Ducati Panigale V4S, the most relevant stepping stone before jumping into the MotoGP Desmosedici. These sessions are designed to rebuild feel on asphalt, test strength under real braking and cornering loads, and rebuild the sensory connection every rider needs when they return to high-speed competition. Expect short runs, lots of physiotherapy breaks, and a focus on consistency rather than outright pace. On January 8th and 9th, Márquez will be back on his bike. 2 days may sound small, but for a rider coming off surgery they're hugely important for regaining race rhythm. The preseason calendar puts the first official test in Malaysia from 3 to 5 February, the moment teams will start translating winter work into lap times. There's also a separate shakedown, for rookies and test riders, beforehand, and the report notes Márquez will not attend that shakedown. His program is focused on the Valencia prep followed by measured mileage leading into Sepang. The key question for Ducati will be how many stress-filled laps they can safely give their champion before asking him to extract performance for long stints. MotoGP preseason testing will resume in Sepang, Malaysia, at the beginning of February, specifically from the 3rd to the 5th. Sepang will be the first public checkpoint to see how much the comeback has restored confidence and pace. Time is both enemy and ally. It's been a long layoff, but Márquez has already started rebuilding ground with the MX outings and the Valencia plan. The final weeks before Sepang will be about accumulating usable kilometers without overstressing the repaired area, and there's even a chance he'll add a late January outing or appear at the World SBK Portimao test to gain extra asphalt time. For a champion used to fine margins, the difference between a handful of extra laps and missing them can be decisive in early tests. It's been 3 months since he last rode his MotoGP bike, so the reigning champion is surely eager to get back on the machine with which he won the title in Japan. That eagerness is the human element behind every careful rehab plan, urgency balanced with medical caution. Marc Márquez's January program is textbook: low-risk stepping stones, 450MX, targeted on-road preparation, Panigale V4S in Valencia, then measured entry to official testing at Sepang. The paddock will watch 3 metrics closely: how many solid laps he completes, how he copes with repeated braking loads, and how quickly he regains his trademark race rhythm. If the comeback follows the plan, Sepang will show whether the 2025 champion is back not only to ride, but to fight. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!